Now at 5, United Way of Southwest Missouri and Southeast Kansas host its annual Day of Action. Plus, Pitt State students research the different kinds of ticks that can be found in the 4 states. And photography enthusiasts have the opportunity to learn some new skills at a photography workshop in Fort Scott.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Red Cross is called in to help displaced families after an early morning apartment fire in Joplin. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Jalen Banks. The call came in around 6:30 this morning at the Michigan Place Apartments at 1502 South Michigan Avenue. Joplin Fire, Police, and Mets ambulance responded. Occupants evacuated as crews were able to contain the flames to one apartment. However, there is smoke damage throughout the entire building, number 7. The initial investigation reveals a child playing with a lighter caught a mattress on fire. No one was injured during the blaze. The Newton County Sheriff's Office is looking for Sean England. A judge signed an arrest warrant for the suspect, who is accused of assault and armed criminal action. If you see him or have information on his whereabouts, call 911 or local authorities. They say do not approach him and consider him armed and dangerous. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us with the first look of the weather.
All right, thank you very much, Jalen. We have some scattered thunderstorms on radar, but unfortunately, they're down to the south and southeastern Oklahoma, and also some severe weather way out to the west and eastern Colorado and the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. Let's zoom in on one shower. We did have an earlier thunderstorm on the east side of town, but it is now a ghost of its former self. We have just an isolated shower near Berwick right now. And as we head through the evening hours, we're going to see temperatures dropping through the 80s to about 65 degrees by tomorrow morning. And if you're heading out tomorrow, just be aware that the UV index is going to be on the extreme scale, which means that you could burn in less than 10 minutes. So definitely make sure you have the hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, find some shade, and limit your time outside. And looking down the lane, we do have some weekend thunderstorm chances, but the drought's going to continue. And then we have some summer-like weather that's going to be building into the area with some isolated storms, and I'll tell you all about that in just a little while.
More than 100 local volunteers took part in today's Day of Action. The United Way of Southwest Missouri and Southeast Kansas collaborates with employees of area businesses to pitch in and help out other nonprofits with various projects. The organization says it's the largest day of volunteer service in the region. Crews were in both Pittsburgh and Joplin, helping at various locations, including the Ronald McDonald House of the 4 states.
So we have had these wonderful volunteers outside doing some wonderful landscaping, helping with pulling weeds, doing some cleaning of our playground equipment, our fence. Now then, we are moving inside. We've got them doing deep cleaning of our guest suites, just making sure that we are creating the healthiest environment we possibly can for those families that call us home while their child is in the hospital.
More than 15 people volunteered to clean the Ronald McDonald House. The decision overturning Roe v. Wade changed the landscape for abortion access in America. As the country approaches tomorrow's 1-year mark, those on their side of the issue remain in a political fight. Willie James Inman reports.
President Biden is rallying with abortion rights groups marking 1 year since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
President Biden and Vice President Harris stand with the majority of Americans who believe the right to choose is fundamental.
The president is using the occasion to issue a new executive order. The order strengthens access to birth control pills through the Affordable Care Act, Medicare, and Medicaid services. It also tries to ensure access to pills for veterans and service members through other federal programs.
Access to contraception has become more important than ever following the Supreme Court's decision and ensuing crisis for women's health.
Democrats see abortion rights as a critical issue to rally voters for the 2024 presidential election, and it remains a key issue for anti-abortion rights groups as well.
We will stand every day without apology for the unalienable right to life.
Former Vice President and 2024 presidential candidate Mike Pence dismissed the idea that abortion will hurt Republicans on the ballot.
The cause of life is the calling of our time, and we must not rest and must not relent until we restore the sanctity of life to the center of American law in every state in this country.
In a new CBS News poll, 57% of Americans surveyed said the overturn of Roe v. Wade has been mostly bad for the country. Willie James Inman, CBS News, the White House.
And in another survey, 86% who disagreed with overturning Roe says it puts the health and lives of women at more risk. On the flip side, 86% who agreed with overturning Roe says the decision protects the lives of unborn babies. 3M will pay more than $10 billion to settle contaminated water claims. Multiple U.S. cities and towns claim the company allowed forever chemicals known as PFAS into their water systems. The payouts will help test water supplies over a 13-year period. 3M still faces other lawsuits. The company plans to stop manufacturing PFAS in 2025. And in World Watch, as the search and rescue effort for the missing submersible turns to a recovery operation, the 5 people on board are being remembered. Christina Hager has the latest from Boston.
Worshippers at a mosque in Pakistan held a special prayer for prominent businessman Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son, Suleiman. They were among the 5 people on board the submersible that imploded on the way to the Titanic wreckage.
This was a catastrophic implosion of the vessel.
The Coast Guard announced the discovery of debris from OceanGate's Titan vessel Thursday after days of searching. Also on board, British billionaire Hamish Harding, OceanGate's CEO Stockton Rush, and Titanic expert Paul-Henri Nargeolet.
For him to meet his fate down there is a tragic irony in my mind.
James Cameron, director of the movie Titanic and an underwater explorer himself, was friends with Nargeolet. Cameron joined the chorus of those questioning OceanGate's safety measures.
Clearly, corners were cut here, and people paid the price.
The incident is increasing scrutiny on the world of deep-sea exploration in general and OceanGate in particular. But OceanGate's co-founder is defending the company's CEO.
He was very keenly aware of the risks of operating in the deep ocean environment, and he was very committed to safety.
A U.S. Coast Guard official said Friday that the investigation into what happened will continue in the area where the debris was found. Christina Hager, CBS News, Boston.
Still ahead, a preventable disease on the rise. And next in Health Watch, the FDA approved a new form of gene therapy for muscular dystrophy. Topping today's Health Watch, tick season is underway, and researchers at Pitt State are studying the insects this summer. Dr. Anu Ghosh and her research students shared their findings so far. That includes the variety of tick species that call the 4 states home and the diseases they may carry.
And while working on the project, we've gone to Wilderness Park in Pittsburgh quite a number of times. And that's a park that I've gone to run and do things like that. And the amount of ticks we've been able to find is really surprising. And so just knowing that they're there and they want to bite people and reset it.
Coming up at 6 p.m., we'll learn more about the research, including how students collect the ticks they study. New estimates show diabetes is outpacing more diseases around the world. Despite increased awareness, global health experts say the numbers are alarming. Astrid Martinez has more.
Diabetes is a leading cause of death and disability worldwide. Now, new research published in 2 Lancet journals shows the diabetes crisis is worsening worldwide, with no country expected to see a decline in rates over the next 3 decades. The study analyzed data from more than 200 countries and territories for about the last 30 years. It's estimated 529 million people are living with diabetes worldwide. That number is expected to jump to more than 1.3 billion in 2050. The research points to systemic racism and insulin access in low and middle income countries for the skyrocketing rates of disease and death. Complications from diabetes can include blindness, kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, and amputations. Researchers stress that diabetes is largely preventable and can be controlled by eating healthy and staying active. In some cases, diabetes is even reversible if detected and managed early. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
According to the CDC, about 37 million Americans have diabetes, with 23% of adults undiagnosed. The FDA has given limited approval for a new gene therapy for a rare kind of muscular dystrophy. The government says the biotech drug will need to prove in an ongoing clinical trial that is that it improves physical function and mobility in patients with Duchenne muscular dystrophy in order to stay on the market. That's a look at today's health news. A little later, the FDA is warning store owners that electronic cigarettes could soon be banned. We'll take a look at the impact.
We're also looking at the impact of the hot weather across our area. I'll have a look at the radar as well as your weekend forecast when we come back. Well, we had another summer day across the 4 states with temperatures in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees, and we had some isolated thunderstorms here and there right now. Let's take a look outside at Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. You can see a little bit of more thickening of the clouds out there, especially off in the distance, with some scattered thunderstorms down in eastern Oklahoma. This afternoon, we made it up to 90 degrees once again, starting out at 66, which was a little bit above normal for the high and a little bit low for the low, so we kind of averaged out for today. We're still, of course, behind for the month as well as the year on our rainfall. And rainfall is to be found, but it's down to the south in southeastern Oklahoma. And you can see in the motion on this, it's moving away from us. Unfortunately, I wish it was kind of moving up this way, but unfortunately, it's going to be staying down there this evening. We did have a few isolated storms, especially out towards the west, which is what we were expecting today. We have a little bit of a sprinkle there between Newtonia and Monette, but that's about it. And we're going to see more scattered thunderstorms in our forecast. But for this evening, we're going to see warm temperatures, generally in the upper 80s, especially out towards the west, where it's still 91 at Yates Center and Chanute. Pick out your hometown. It is a little bit rain-cooled air in Joplin and Carthage with 83, 85 in Cassville on the hour. And when you factor in the dew point and the humidity, it actually feels like it's 95 in Yates Center, 94 in Neodesha, 93 in Parsons. So very toasty out there. And look at Oklahoma, no water, 96. And feels like 96 also in Veneta. Rain chances tonight are going to be low, but then they're going to start increasing as we get into the overnight hours, but a better chance of storms tomorrow evening, especially in our eastern sections, and you can see that on our forecast. As we go through the overnight hours, we could see a redevelopment of some storms out towards the west, but south winds are going to be in control, and so we're going to see lows in the upper 60s to lower 70s. Then tomorrow afternoon, notice the best chance of storms basically along and east of I-49, and basically the Kansas-Missouri border eastward. So it looks like it's going to be a dry day out to the west. Check out Eureka, 97 for your day tomorrow. Then as we go into Saturday evening, those storms will start to shift to the south, and we'll see a little bit drier air starting to move in from the north and west, lows in the 60s up to the north, 70s to the south. And then on Sunday afternoon, still drier air pulling in from the north, so it'll make it feel a little bit more comfortable, but we're still going to be in the lower 90s as far as high temperatures. And then as we go into Monday morning, a little bit cooler with temperatures in the 60s, mid 60s, and that'll feel nice, especially with those lower dew points. Rainfall amounts are not going to be all that impressive. They're going to be on the light side, maybe a little bit heavier activity off towards the east with those storms tomorrow afternoon. And if we look at the upper map, you can see the ridge of high pressure still in control. But as we go through the weekend, it's going to be knocked down just a little bit from this wave of energy coming up over on top of it. And then we go into a northwest flow pattern. But notice next week, the ridge comes right back, and it does so with a vengeance, with temperatures approaching the century mark as we go into the forecast. In fact, here's a look at it. 40% chance of storms tomorrow in the evening and the morning, and then 20% on Sunday morning, but then drier and cooler for Monday with a high of only 89. But look at Thursday, 99. I just couldn't bring myself to do it and say 100, but right now it's looking summer-like for sure in our forecast.
Yeah, hopefully Thursday doesn't quite get that hot, but being in this area, we certainly understand that it can get that way.
It sure can.
All right, thank you, Sam. Cleanup continues from Wednesday evening's tornado in Matador, Texas. A line of severe storms produced a combination of multiple tornadoes, hurricane-force winds, and softball-sized hail in West Texas. At least 4 people have lost their lives, 9 were injured. There was significant damage around the town. Coming up, a recall of more than 1 million Honda vehicles due to rear-view camera issues. We'll see if yours is one of those models affected. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a Honda recall over rear-view camera issues. The car maker is recalling roughly 1.2 million vehicles in the U.S. This because the rear-view camera image may fail to display on the dashboard screen. The recall includes certain Odyssey minivans from 2018 and 2023, Pilot SUVs from 2019 to 2022, and Passport SUVs from 2019 to 2023. Honda says dealers will make repairs at no cost to owners who will be notified by letter starting July 24th. The FDA is doubling down on banning e-cigarettes, warning dozens of store owners to stop selling those fruit and candy flavored vapes, which includes the best-selling brand. Here's CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti.
They're made to taste like fruit and candy, but federal officials say don't be fooled. These e-cigarettes pose a danger to young people. That's why the FDA is warning 189 convenience stores and other retailers around the country to stop selling illegal disposable vapes, including Elf Bar, the most popular brand.
The flavors are geared towards children, and anything that you start or introduce in childhood is going to be addictive.
Sales of disposable e-cigarettes have more than doubled in just 3 years, according to the CDC. This despite repeated attempts to regulate the multi-billion-dollar vaping industry. In 2020, the FDA restricted flavors in reusable e-cigarettes like Juul to just menthol and tobacco, but that flavor restriction did not apply to disposables. Calls to U.S. poison control centers are up 32% in the past year. Of more than 7,000 reports of potential e-cigarette poisoning, nearly 9 in 10 involve children under the age of 5. And the average vape has as much nicotine as more than 100 cigarettes. Doctors warn that ingesting too much can lead to vomiting and even seizures. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And once again, the vape has as much nicotine as 100 cigarettes. Again, these will be banned in stores throughout the country. The Bed and Bath Beyond could live on. Overstock.com has made a bid to buy the retailer's intellectual property and digital assets for $21.5 million. A hearing for the purchase is set for Tuesday. Bed Bath & Beyond filed for bankruptcy in April. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, junior high can be a long journey for some students. Steve Hartman goes on the road to meet one student who knows what it means to go the extra mile. Then on KOAM News at 6, we'll have tips for you and your family on how to avoid heat-related illnesses this summer. Plus, there's a big expansion to open up at a local zoo. We'll have a look. And the Midwest Mustangs are back in action today, looking to move forward in a regional competition. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Some photography enthusiasts in Fort Scott, Kansas today had the chance to refine their skills. Associate Professor Shree with Kansas State and professional photographer Veretta Cobbler hosted a free workshop on photography. The workshops were for beginners, students, or even professionals. It taught photographers how to use film, digital, and phone cameras to take better photos.
Is a great precursor to help get the novice and student photographers involved. So we'll have student photographers participate too in this project, and the novice and even professional photographers. So this is a great way. We're collaborating with Kansas State University on their grant project and them coming to provide this wonderful opportunity for a free workshops, photography workshop series.
There will be more workshops on July 7th and August 11th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. One of the things that I've noticed over the past year or so, photography and photography businesses have really started rolling over the past couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cameras are just getting so incredible.
Especially with cell phones. It's wild.
Yeah.
But as for weather, what do you have for us?
We have some hot weather for us. We have a 40% chance of storms for tomorrow, high of 93. Lesser chances of storms on Sunday. And then Monday we cool down to 89, but at least it'll be more comfortable because the dew points are going to be lower. And then look at Thursday, 99, and the only word for that is just hot. And then we have another chance of storms next weekend with a little bit cooler temperatures, if you want to call lower 90s cooler.
All right, well, sounds good. And thank you all for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we'll be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.